Welcome back to UAP Rant, episode 12 in the series now. So the past few episodes we've been looking at some key characters historically since World War II, including Viktor, Schauberger, Otis, Carr, Douglas Torr and Dr. Ning Li, that all seem to be tied up in field repulsion science. And we've been connecting that to the research we've been doing at Energyscapes in the field on anomalous orbs and rods, and looking at the connection there and observations and data between what we think is field repulsion technology and these characters historically. So I want to swing back today to James Clerk Maxwell again. And if you've been following the podcast series, we talked about him early on. Now he's the father or the architect of our modern electricity equations. And what seems to have happened historically is that before his work was modified and we ended up with the equations we have today, it seems that his original work was rewritten by a guy called Heaviside. Now, before it was rewritten, apparently mathematically he was linking four-space geometric potentials, so electric four-dimensional space, to 3D vector fields. And we've been relating this to our work with orbs and rods and talking about magnetic confinement, and then discussing those characters or researchers historically in that area and how this is all tied together, or all seems to line up quite nicely in terms of our missing science and explaining the technology behind UAPs and UFOs and how they work, whether or not they're the traditional craft or more of another type of phenomena in terms of orbs and rods that might be bioengineered or even natural and even sentient. But that same concept seems to underlie it all. Now, James Clerk Maxwell, if we take for fact that he did have mathematical equations linking four-space geometric potentials to three-space vector fields, and what seems to have happened is that's been taken offline, not only rewritten by Heaviside, but even I can't find his original work, just that it's alluded to on the internet when I researched the topic, and they mentioned the US Army as having a copy of that original work and linking it to the development of scalar technology and laser weapons. But again, I think there's some sort of connecting principle there with field repulsion, not only in terms of UAPs and UFOs, but laser or directed energy weapons too. This field repulsion all seems to be related to it all. Now, if we pick up on James Clerk Maxwell and his four-space geometric potentials, I wanted to circle back to that because I think it's really important to understand just how paradigm shifting that is if we could find that mathematics in terms of technology development in mainstream science and public science, because it overlaps most fields of science, field repulsion, because that's in nature. Viktor Schauberger was researching that, and it's also field repulsion, I think, is a coveted technology as well. So in terms of four-space geometric potentials, I think not only has that been coveted, but this whole wormhole or interdimensional anomaly thing around at the moment is tied up in that as well. So we've got these interdimensional anomalies, we've got UAPs and UFOs, we've got scalar weapons technology. I think it's all around this same science that's been taken offline, and once we in the public brought back into it and understand it, and we link it back to these key characters historically, the whole science is going to shift very quickly, I think. Whether or not NHI is involved, I think that'll only exacerbate the process and may even facilitate open contact, because we're making a paradigm leap in science and technology very quickly, and as a result becoming a spacefaring race in the next few decades, beyond the traditional sense of that in terms of colonization and moving out into the solar system and beyond. So James Clerk Maxwell seems to be a key figure in all that. So I just wanted to reiterate that today, bring us along on the journey so far that we've come in with the 12th episode in the series, and make sure that people understand the importance of these characters. And even though they've been sidelined in mainstream science, I think sidelined for a very good reason and not even talked about. I mean, if you look at the UAP discussion at the moment that's out in the public forum, these people aren't even mentioned. They don't even register. And that's why I've written a book on it that's coming out next year about how all these characters are linked up to what's going on in terms of the disclosure movement. So I'll leave it at that for today, and I hope to talk again soon for episode 13.